you know, someone has the family member die or whatever, or something happens, a family member gets cancer or whatever, and you can't go to work all the time. You think that's any different than what, you know, what you guys do? It's the, you know what I mean? But it's like there's this entitlement that we deserve this monthly comic, no matter what the hell's going on in your life, and whether your hand is falling off or, you know, I cannot understand that, and I know that it's
not all fans. But,
oh, absolutely not.
But sometimes there's weird stuff.
I'm not saying that by any stretch of the imagination, but there is this, you know, people are easy to criticize. You know, not only people's work, but when it comes out and how it's presented and whatever. And it's like, wow, you know, I don't get that. You know, I don't know, I guess because I have such respect for artists and artistic endeavors that, you know, I mean, you're not putting yourself out there in that way. You're not exposing yourself to the world in that way. So who are you to criticize?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and like one thing that speaks to it a little bit is like, okay, say you have a launch of a new series and they pick artist whatever to do it, and then by the fourth issue they need to have someone else step in, fill in artist, and 9 times out of 10, the people who are viewing it will slam that guy who couldn't draw that fourth issue. You know, they'll be like, well, if he can't do it, then he shouldn't be working in comics. I've actually seen that. And no one thinks about, okay, well, did the company put enough lead time on the project so it had plenty of planning time so it could build up a cachet? In most occasions, the reason why you see all of a sudden you might have 3 inkers on a book or 3 pencilers on a book is because there's no proper planning a lot of times, and it's like you said, the people's names who are on the book are the ones who get hit for it. But there's almost a little bit of a callousness sometimes in what people say, and it's kind of like, you know, oh, well, that guy doesn't deserve to be working in comics because he couldn't draw that fourth issue, when it was completely out of his control. You know, they don't.
I mean, it is the nature of the internet. I mean, we're not naive.
Well, yeah, but you know, sometimes people act like, oh, because he couldn't meet that monthly commitment, he doesn't deserve to be working in comics, or whatever. Not thinking about, well, was there actually enough time built in for him to meet that monthly commitment? Did the company provide the right parameters to meet that deadline?
And was the
most
writer
occasions,
right? Yeah,
and
well,
most
of
or
the other
or
issues.
The
Yeah.
other thing that happens is they'll change the editorial will change the story midstream. So then there's a reworking, so you're having to wait for that reworking to be done.
Sometimes.
So even if the writer is all, you know, he's gotten all the scripts in, but then they decide to change whatever narrative, so everybody's scrambling, and everyone down the food chain has got to wait until that first part's done. You know, people don't think about that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just, you know, I come back to it. It's like a thoughtful response, please. You know what I mean? It's like, do we always have to react so
In the negative.
well, not just the negative, just be reactionary. You know, be thoughtful in your responses, be reasonable in your responses, and you know, I don't know.
So yeah,
I'm just not that way, I guess.
So that sort of speaks to the whole struggles thing in a way, because you know, you want to be,
There's a pressure.
Yeah, a pressure there. You want to feel like, you know, you're doing good work and getting stuff out there, but
Well, and then there's there's a lot of pressure to be, particularly at your position now, that, you know, you could say one weird thing and now it's all over the place.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's not even what he meant, but it was just some offhanded comment or whatever, and it can get extrapolated from, and you know, and we've seen it very recently in a few people that we know, and it's like, you know, are you stopping to see if that's really what they meant? I mean, there's no.
Do you care?
Do you care? You know, you just want to blast this person. You know.
So I think that's kind of I would consider that a struggle, because it adds stress and you know, those things. It's all the little nuances build up to, like,
Well,
How
I mean,
it can
you know, maybe another struggle would be that, you know, we're in a rural area and we don't have any art stores. And so
Right.
everything I have to research on the internet, and we waste a whole shit ton of money because, you know, we don't know how
Paper.
something's gonna work. Paper.
Paper
is
has
the
been a struggle.
devil.
Hmm.
It is the evil that is paper.
I cannot find the right finish of paper.
Oh boy.
I so want to like contact Strathmore and ask them to make a J.H. Williams paper that is so perfect for you.
Because yeah,
But yeah, I mean, you know, so I have to like go out there and find art supplies, and hopefully it works. You know, it's
yeah.
there's
So the paper I'm using now, I've had to settle for it, but I'm
Mhm.
not satisfied with it.
and some days it doesn't work. You can get bad ream. You can
Yeah.
get bad pages
Mhm.
within the ream.
Hmm.
If it's too humid, sometimes the paper
reacts
gets all
differently.
weird.
Wow.
I mean, it's
Yeah, it's really, really strange.
I try to be patient about it, but it's been such a long. I mean, your entire career we've had this argument about. It's just like get
Well-
on with it because there's nothing we can do. So just get on with it.
Well, and part of it, I mean, part of it is my own. You know, granted, there could be better papers out there, certainly, but there's also, you know, I'm a little, I don't know what's the word, not unrealistic, but my expectations could be better sometimes because, you know, I do have that tremor, and so, you know, whatever I'm doing with the tremor, if the paper is acting weird to me,
On top of it.
it's sort of like I'm not getting the quality of the line I want, or something like that. So part of it is me too, on a physical level. I'm sure if I didn't have that tremor and I could just do, you know, everything so effortlessly with my movements, the paper probably wouldn't bother me so much. You know.
But
So-
again, it's like you're waiting for that golden moment, and there is no golden moment.
Yeah.
You do the best you can with what you have.
Yeah, and so, and like for inking, you know, I do love my, you know, basic composition. I'll line it with a pen, and that's where I find the most annoyance with the pen is with the pen in the paper, because it's that really solid contact. And then if I'm jittery or whatever from my tremor, I can be really annoyed because I'm like,
Sometimes it bleeds.
yeah,
Sometimes the ink doesn't want to dry on the paper, so you smear it.
right.
Yeah.
Well, what I was-
Two.
what I was getting at was because of my tremor and the weird paper anomalies or whatever, that when I'm doing my line work with a pen, that a lot of times I have to, because I have to go slow, a little bit slower. I have that meticulous control of my arm, because like if I try to go too, like, it's weird. If I do that, I can be smooth, but if I'm going small spaces or whatever, I can't do that quickly, because I'll just go, you know, like this weird jolt will happen or whatever. So I have to go a little bit slower so that pen contact is longer. And so what other people might be able to use a size 3 for, I have to use a size 1, because the pen contact is longer. So that line wants to just really be thicker than it should be, that sort of thing. And that's the sort of thing that, you know, a good inker probably would do all that stuff with a brush, because they have that really nice fluid control. And the brush work, I can't really do the construction work with. I have to go in and you know, use the brush for other stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, we find that you know, maybe that we've done things the hard way sometimes, because we didn't invest in Photoshop until
Right.
until like one of the guys that works on the program Photoshop is a fan of his and traded art for the suites.
Oh, nice.
So we get the suites for free. Well, not free, but for art.
Well, at that point we did.
Yeah, and but like Promethea, we didn't have crappy program that came with a really crappy old scanner called Snaps. No,
SnapScan or something.
or I can't remember what that was called. It's old. And so he did like all of that collage work, so meticulous, like so old fashioned, and cobbled it together with this crap. Color It. That's what it was. Color It program.
Well, there was stuff that I did to meld with the collage work where I did gray tone digital rendering, or I did part of it by hand and then scan it in and splice it in and do weird manipulations to it to work with the collage stuff as well. But none of it was with Photoshop. And Jose, because he's a Photoshop guy, and I was talking to him about it, and he's like, I don't know how you did that. It's like, how did you do that with with that crappy old program?
But it's kind of like the nature of how we are. It's like you just figure out what you can do with what you have.
Yeah.
So it's probably a backwards way of, using the program. I mean, even Photoshop, you kind of use it in a weird way.
Yeah,
but
I don't color
like
the way other
we're
people
not
color.
big on reading manuals or anything like that. So it's just you point at things and touch things and make things happen. And like, okay, that doesn't work, so you try this over here. So
Yeah, I color all the grayscale stuff completely differently than Dave Stewart does.
yeah, and Dave doesn't understand how he does it because he's doing it some weird like trailer park way. Yeah, I'm doing it completely weird, and he's probably doing it the way you're supposed to do it. But yeah, so the results come out. So,
If you get it to look like you want, then I guess you're doing okay. Huh.